In this video, I'll be going over building a product data model in Airtable. So Airtable is kind of a stepping stone or a hybrid between Excel and a relational database. It's not a relational database. It definitely has its limitations, but it is a step up from Excel. So depending on the manufacturer's comfort level with using a new system versus relying on Excel, Airtable could have some benefits from using this system versus a regular Google Sheets, which is basically Google Sheets is the equivalent of Excel. So in this case, I'm assuming that you have watched part 2, which is building the product model in Excel. And now I want to just continue off, and assuming that you understand the concepts of categories and classifications and attributes, I want to show how it would all work in this system here. So we have the ability in Airtable to have different views, and different views have different filters. It also has different columns that are shown, and you can see here, let me try to zoom in a little. Actually, oh, there we go. Okay, so yeah, this is better. Alright, so we have the basic info, which mirrors what we had in Excel. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, and then we also have the ability to see different views. So for inventory, instead of expanding the groupings, we could just go to the different view that focuses on inventory. For categories and classifications, this is big. So instead of having a separate tab where you set out the mappings of, this SKU belongs to this category, you could actually control it right here. So if I wanted this iPhone case 9 to belong to another category, I could simply click this plus, and this will look up the list of categories other than the one that's already chosen. So you can see iPhone 9 is gone, and you could choose another category to associate to this. Okay, let me just get rid of that. Similarly, you could actually control classifications here, but these are actually built in from the categories association to classification. So this is controlled here, and if you wanted to associate these categories to classification, you could just do so here, which means that everything that was, let's say for the dimensional product, if that product actually belongs to a category that is under there, then it would show up in this section as well. It's all linked. It's a lot easier to deal with. Similarly, you have pricing, which is pretty straightforward. Okay, you have all the attributes. So it just separates it a lot cleaner. And then you have the media tab, which still needs to be separate. So that we still need to kind of have a separate linking row. But these categories, they build the category structure. Same with the classifications. It works similar to Google Sheets example. Attributes is all similar. And then you have price levels, which again is very similar. Now where this definitely has its benefits is for sharing this data, you could have a built-in API that's generated directly from Airtable. So while this loads, this actually produces the documentation that you can provide to retailer partners to access your data. So this has all the instructions they need to programmatically get the data and to maintain it and synchronize it in an automated way. Okay, I'm just going to get out of this section. There's also the ability in Airtable to share, for example, just for the viewing of the data. So if I want to share the current view, then this creates a URL. Which you can then access, and then you can see that the retailer could have access to this data. And then they could export it, download it as a CSV, so it's a really clean way to share the data. So Airtable definitely has its advantages. It's not completely free. It just depends on how many records you have. I think they have free plans for up to maybe 5,000 records, but that could change in the future. But it's a lot cleaner way to manage the data.